probability trading strategy, you're full of crap.
Things aren't working, then that's a quick trip to the poorhouse.
To learn how to drive the beater before you can drive the Lamborghini.
Now you're playing with the house's money. Whoa, I love that new intro.
Do you like that intro? I think it's cool. Let us know what you think about it if you're, no matter where you're listening from. And so, hey, Mike, did you know that there is a 89% chance that the market will rally substantially after the presidential election, regardless of who's elected?
You know what? Until we were talking about 10 minutes ago, I did not know that.
And so, I kind of knew it, but I didn't know how pervasive that trend was. I mean, 89% chance, that is a pretty strong probability. And so today we're going to dive into, why this happens, and also talk a little bit about, finding the right voting insights, because, elections matter. And we're hoping that here shortly our guest speaker will join us. Her name is Eva Andretti and she's from the Hawaii Family Forum. She is a voting specialist. She spends a lot of time down at the state capitol here in Hawaii. And if she joins, that's great. If she doesn't join, that's great, because we're ready to rock and roll regardless. And let me make sure that I am able to see if she does want to join. Okay, that's good. I'll go back and look at that in just a little bit. So one of the things that I was going to ask Eva about, Mike, is, okay, both of us are Christians, right?
Sure.
Yeah. And so, and a lot of people say, well, you shouldn't talk about your faith on, keep it separate from the marketplace and all that kind of stuff. But I don't see
I don't see how politics, don't talk about religion.
What's that?
Don't talk about politics or religion, right?
Yeah. And so we're going to break both those rules today. No. And so, no, one of the things that I found is absolutely shocking was that 75% of the population in the United States are Christian, or at least claim to be Christian. Okay. So that equates to, there's approximately 300 million people in the United States, and approximately of that 300 million, so that puts us about 258 million people who are Christians.
Okay.
And so if you do the math and kind of figure out some things, and so that makes about 198 million of them voting age. Now, here's the shocker. And tell me what you think about this. Okay, here's the shocker. The 57% of those who say they are Christian aren't going to vote. They don't vote. Isn't that amazing? So that means
that is amazing. I'm kind of curious now. Well, what's the numbers across the board? Is it that there's lower numbers among Christians than other, say, Muslims, Jews, non denominational, or what?
Yeah. And that I don't know. I mean, this survey that was done, it was done by a group out of Arizona that just went in and they look at, evangelicals, Catholics, Baptists, the kind of Protestant type religions, and that's a heck of a lot of them.
Yeah,
but
that seems real low.
But what's really interesting is when you link that to, and again, this is kind of weird, but when you link that to the aspect of how many are once a week attenders, how many are once a month attenders, how many are every 6 month attenders, and all that kind of stuff. And believe it or not, out of that total, 198 million people, only about like 20 to 30% are regular attenders.
Oh yeah, I believe that. Sure. It's Given attendance, I'm surprised it's that high.
And so, yeah, I mean, so that's really, so you wonder, okay, maybe since they're not, let's just say they're not really in tune with, their walk, that basically maybe they're not in tune with, you know, a really good, strong biblical concept
Mm,
of what it means to be a good citizen. You know what I'm saying? Uh,
yeah.
and so,
Uh,
but 57% I found was absolutely shocking that, that because it's in excess of 100 million people, of voting age who supposedly have really good moral outstanding, character, and you would think that they would want to be engaged and make a difference. But what do you think? What do you think some of the reasons are that they don't vote?
a common thing for why people don't vote, or just vote for a candidate that is unlikely to win, right? So my buddy is Sakib, and he's Muslim. We've been talking for just about religion in general, discussing faith, nothing to do with this show or anything, just every other week for maybe about a year. And one of the things that he was saying, he lives in Texas. And so he was saying that, oh, well, I'm going to vote for Jill Stein
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I care about that getting representation versus, a vote that's not going to count because Texas is going to be red.
okay,
So I think that general sentiment of my individual vote won't matter for getting X person elected or Y person
right,
elected.
right.
Uh, so it doesn't really matter what I do because it's more of the way that the state's going to go anyway.
Oh, okay, so he's not going to vote, or he is going to vote.
Well, he's voting for Jill Stein. Um, Rather than voting for Trump, even though he's the doesn't like Kamala, doesn't like the policy, doesn't like where the country's at right now,
Right.
wants change, but sees, oh well, Texas is going to go for Trump anyway, so let's vote for Jill. That's his
Oh, okay.
rationale.
So,
I
but
could
he's
see that being common rationale for not showing up and voting. Well, like I live in New York. New
right.
York, well, according to what Vivek Ramaswamy said yesterday, New York could be a swing state. I'd love to see New York be a swing state because, I'm fairly conservative. I kind of feel like, and in my house too. Growing up as a kid, I kind of feel like what Michael J. Fox felt like back in Family Ties. You remember that show?
I do. Yeah.
So I would love to see New York be a swing state, but to kind of get back on track for why people don't vote, it's yeah, I think that if you live in a state that's predominantly going to be blue, going to be red, then you might be
Right.
like, you know what, it's not going to matter if I uh, vote or not, and why am I going to go stand in line and do all this?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that people feel that way.
Yeah, and and actually, that is one of the big three. One of the big three reasons why people, regardless, you know, don't vote is they just feel like what I do isn't going to matter, and that's really, in a way, that's kind of sad, uh, because there's, if nothing else, if if you know to do the right thing but you don't do it.
Hmm.
Okay, that can cause some psychological damage. I mean, you'll be, you'll think later, why didn't I do that, or why didn't, or what happened, and what happens if your candidate missed out going into a runoff election by one vote? I'm going, oh man, darn, I should have. And so, hey guys, don't worry, we are going to get to a couple of stocks here a little bit later, and we're going to tie this back into the market and what's going on, and also figuring out what the heck is that 89% aspect. The other two major issues, Mike, that they talk about, is they don't think their vote will make a difference. There's a confusion about what to vote for. In other words, and so one of the things that um, Eva was able to share with me previously is that find a reliable source that will break down whatever issues or whatever items are on the ballot for you. Like I
Mhm.
know here in Hawaii, we have three major things we're voting for, along with various people, and but go to an independent source because oftentimes the politicians will put initiative on the ballot, but they word it in such a way that you really don't know which way to vote. You don't know which way to vote. And so, if you're a Christian voter, hopefully you can go to your church and, talk to somebody there and ask, which of these, goes along with my biblical values and this type of thing. But that's part of the deal. The just finding good information, and
I'm sure there's
hopefully,
so much of those propositions that are just worded so vaguely, they're trying to hoodwink you.
oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it's like gaslighting almost. Trying to make you think trying to fool you. And there have been so many propositions passed over the past years, and people go, "I didn't know I was voting for that." That's wild. So what? And the other reason people say they don't vote is because they don't like the candidates.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious. We've got some people joining us live. Is that, or what do you think about that answer? Not liking either candidate.
And so, because we have to admit that, and we'll wait for we're going to, hey, let us know what you think, folks. But I heard something really good over the past couple of weeks is basically don't vote for the personality. Because I mean, but go deeper and find out what are the policies, what are the values. And a lot of times I know, like, sometimes it's very challenging because you really don't know what the particular policy the person maybe, wanted to do. Well,
Hmm.
go back and take a look at their past history, because the Bible tells us, you'll know them by their fruit.
Right.
And I mean, I hate to say it, but some politicians tend to lie and lie a lot. I mean, uh,
Really?
yes, they do.
You'd never think that. But
I, I mean, yeah,
I'm kidding. Yeah, it's rare to get honesty out of Washington, unfortunately.
it is, and but the thing about it is put personalities aside because I understand, like you can hate the personality, but what does the party believe in?
Mhm.
And then dig deeper in that. And don't necessarily go just
Understand.
to the website of the candidate. Go to the website of the party that you support or you think you support, or trying to figure out whether you want to or not. Go to the party's website, like the DNC or the is it DNC, Democratic National Committee, yeah, or the RNC. Go
Right.
there and see what their platform is because they post their platform there, what they believe in. This is what they're going to try to, accomplish over that's their main objective, main goal. So go there. I wouldn't spend a lot of time on the individual candidate's website because, and I'm not saying either one of them, has an issue with the truth, but what I'm, for the presidential election, but go and see what the party stands for, and then you'll be, yeah, then you can basically, and then weigh it against your Christian beliefs, and then make a decision from there. And if it goes against your beliefs, then guess what, you know, uh, you know, yeah, a long time ago, I had to give up voting the way my mom and dad voted. because they were good old Southern Democrats and all that kind of stuff. And
Mm.
it because I saw where things were going, and I went, wait a second, that's not what I believe in. And so um, yeah, I am I'm a traditionalist, and that's and I'll stand up and be very proud of that. I am a traditionalist. I believe in traditional values. I believe in I spent 23 years in the Navy, protecting this country,
Mm.
and I would like to see the country become strong again. So well,
Yeah.
anything. I think we've kind of like hit this, Mike, pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what? Well, I have not been on either DNC or RNC's website. I'm kind of curious. Well, what those things say. The thing that I've tended to do, and it's very similar to how I trade as well, because for the most part, I completely ignore the news, stories, uh, basically what people say,
Yeah, yeah,
and I
yeah.
pay a lot more attention to what they do.
Right on, right on.
And to me, that's how I get to know their fruits. So I take a look at, well, what's actually happened the last 4 years? Well,
Hmm.
what happened the 4 years before that? And now we have a way to actually weigh, well, what are we going to get more of?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And we're going to be talking about that a little bit, a little bit, because one of the things that I looked up, Mike, and we'll be chatting about as we get down in the outline a little bit further, is which industries will benefit from who gets elected.
Mm,
Because it's totally different. And also, ask some questions. As an investor, as a trader, which candidate will or which potential policy that will be implemented will benefit us or not benefit us.
mhm.
And so, is that selfish? Uh, I don't think so. I mean, it's pragmatic, I believe. So, anyway, hey guys, if you're listening online or watching online, then just jump in and just let us know, any comments you're thinking. Is you say, hey, Dennis, you guys and Mike, you guys are full of it. And why are you talking about politics and religion in a session like this? But that's okay, because we will defend your right to say that. So, hey, before we get into the 89% chance of a post-election rally, hey, remember to stick around because Mike and I are going to cover. I'm going to cover. We'll cover a couple of stocks that I think that you need to be at least nibbling on, no matter who wins the election. So hang on to that. So this concept of 89% chance of a rally, Mike, I went back to uh, the year 1950, and I did analysis and found out that 89% of the time after a presidential election, the
Mhm.
market rallied. Now, I won't say how high. Typically, it was more than 5% or more. So, you said you weren't aware of that, and I just wonder how many other people weren't aware of that fact. And so, what are some of the things you could possibly do to proactively take advantage of that, high probability of a rally going on? So, how can you connect that to putting more money into your pockets? What's your thoughts?
Hmm. Well, take a look at historical precedent. One of the things that we were talking about earlier too had to do with, well, there were 16 of the last 18 that you got the rally.
Right.
Well, what were the two that didn't?
Yeah.
And one of the ones that didn't was 1980, you mentioned.
Right. 1980.
So that was right after Reagan was elected the first time.
That's right.
Very interesting. So while you were talking, I pulled up a chart of SPY uh,
Yeah, yeah,
versus SPX. So you kind of get the same thing, same general feel. So I'm taking a look at the chart of SPY as of today, going back to how far does this back? This goes back to 2020. Chart that I'm looking at. Am I able to share my screen on this too, or no?
I do.
Oh, yeah, I see you've got something queued up.
No, no, you can go. I can come back to it. Yeah, go right ahead and share,
All right, yeah,
please.
let's try this out here. All right, so this is where we're at right now with
Right,
SPY. Rally from 2020, 2021, topped in 22, had this big correction, started to come out of it in 23, and here we are right now in 24, just ahead of the election.
right.
Here's what 1980 kind of looked like. So
Okay.
it to
Show,
me it,
show.
it almost
Yeah,
looks similar.
with your cursor, show us where 1980 starts.
So this is from let's expand this a little bit because to have it be more closer. So 74 to 1980.
Okay,
So we had that correction, rally, and then we had a correction after the election. So the
okay, yeah,
election was here,
right,
got that initial jump, and then consolidation, spike, and then you're in this bear market behavior.
right.
So we've run now we're back on SPY. We've run, pulled back, run, and now we're getting into the election. It kind of makes me wonder, well, did our positive things already baked in, and is the election the catalyst to pull the plug for a little while?
That's a great question, a great analogy there also. And so, um, it's gets back to that adage in that of trade the charts that's in front of you. What are the charts
Right.
telling you right now? And I agree that we are overextended. At the same time, many people believe that we're in a super cycle of a bull
Hmm.
market, which
Oh, sure.
means yeah, which means there and with that, there's about another year plus for that cycle to be completed. So,
Hmm.
2025 could be a very, big year. And let's face it, the S&P this year, I mean, is beating the max that a lot of the analysts said the S&P would do this year was about, safely they were saying 8 to 10%, right? And the darn
Hmm.
thing is up 22 plus percent. You go, wow. Um, and at the same time, though, um, the that, that they said that, what was the catalyst for the S&P to be the leading index where in past years and most of the time it's the Nasdaq that's the leading index, and then followed by the Russell. So yeah, and so we could take a look at this chart and go, okay, yeah, we probably are close to some kind of a top. However, is that a weekly chart or a daily chart? Did
This
you
is a
look?
daily. I was
Okay,
comparing daily to daily.
okay. But as you take a look at that, you know, we are still in an uptrending structure. And so until that structure is totally and that structure that I'm talking about is just your trend line across the bottom of the lows,
Hmm.
is that as long as that structure is intact, then we're probably going to keep going up. And one should be a buyer until that structure, can be a buyer. Now, clearly we've gone through, this is a big move for this year. A 6, 7, 8, even 10% retraction or correction right now would be very healthy to digest the gains. And those who have been sitting on the sideline, that would give you a wonderful opportunity to jump on board and say, okay, yeah, let's go from here. But yeah, I get what you're saying. I understand.
Mhm.
But I still think, well, again, right now it's projection. Both of us are just going, well, this is what we think might happen. And and so I'm watching very closely to see what is going on. And I
Mhm.
sent out to everybody and say, hey, do you trade TQQ or TNA, or do you is it UPRO? I think that's the
Oh, yeah, there's another one, U Pro.
UPRO is the 3-time leverage for the S&P. So if you guys are out there, let us know which one of those entities you like to trade. That's okay. Just type them in there. What I figured, Mike, is a lot of times people have a challenging time responding to us because I think a lot are watching on their phones or their tablets, and so it's a little bit less easy to, put in a response,
Mhm.
or they're ignoring us. But no. So no, I love that chart. One of the things that
QLD.
we, huh?
Uh, S. Jordan just replied, he likes to trade QLD.
Ah, okay, QLD, yeah. QLD is that is that the 3-time, that's the 3-time leverage of, the NASDAQ, correct?
No, I'm not sure how leveraged it is versus the Nasdaq. Normally, I trade TQQQ, and that's the triple leveraged.
Yeah, uh,
So what is that? Double leveraged?
yeah, QLD is, I can't remember. I used to trade QLD back in the day. Yeah, Jordan says it's a 2 times leverage. So the main reason I'd like to trade TQQQ and TNA and UPRO, but I primarily focus on TQQ and TNA, is they have weekly options, and I don't know if QLD has weekly options also, but yeah,
Mm.
QLD. And what was its? It has an inverse ETF too, Jordan, right? And I can't remember what the the inverse of that was,
Hmm.
but cool. But Mike, yeah, let me show you a chart. Let me show you something that. Okay, cool. Thanks, Jordan. Thanks for chiming in. Let me share. This is a really nice. Oh, wait a second. Maybe I can share it. Maybe I am sharing it,
There you go.
but nothing's
Oh,
there.
gotta add to stage.
There we go. There you go. So
All
this is a
right.
great chart. This is a great chart that was put together by John Pocoroba of the Rain King Insights. I encourage you, if you're not following John, follow him over on X, and he's got his own YouTube channel also. Really good guy, amazing historian of the market. But he's gone back and he basically was taking a look at the dip that many of the indexes would take right before. This is a 2-week period before the presidential election. In the last 3 presidential cycles, it dipped 8.2%, 4.4%, or 8.9%. Now that's the last 3. What's happened? It doesn't look like we're getting a similar type of dip right now. It seems like the markets are holding up very, fairly strongly. I mean, let's face the fact. We are what, 8 days away from the actual election. However, you know, I'll be glad when we get back to the days
Interesting.
when we can actually know who won the election on the same day of the election. With and
Yeah, right?
Yeah, without a doubt. But John, uh, provided this. I went back and I did a little bit more investigation into this, and went back to 1950, and I think 1950, yeah, 1950, and not all, or maybe no, I went back to 1980. Not, it was a mixed bag, about half and half, whether or not you got a pullback prior to the election upswing. So for me, it turned out to be not as quite as good of a predictor as just the knowledge that there's a high potential and high probability of getting a somewhat of a rally after the election. So
Mhm.
what what so now that we know about, let me go back to here we are.
Yeah.
There we are.
Something else
Um,
interesting I just noticed too, to go back to the 1980 chart, I just looked at that. We got an 8% pullback right before the election.
yeah, yeah. And then we got a little bit of a bounce, right?
Then we got that bounce, and then we got
Yeah.
the deeper bear market.
One of the things that and the thing that's very interesting about that time period is that rally, that big bear bull or cyclic super bull market started in 1974 um, was basically just at the end of the Vietnam War.
Mhm.
And so that's when, things got, back up and going and all that kind of stuff. And it ran up for about 6 years, which is your normal average period for a bull market, 3 to 6 years. So when you look at these charts of performance after, election, I think it has don't hang your hat on the nail of, well, it's because of this party did this or that party didn't, it was not so much a political party issue, is it's primarily just the normal cycles of the market. And also
Mhm.
go and see what was going on. And you can and there's a couple of great places to do that. You can go over on Grok on X, that's their AI, and ask it, what was going on, at the in the in the economy during the year, during that presidential cycle, and
Oh,
it'll give you exact information about, uh, well, here's what was going on. It was a hard times. We were going into a recession already, and so it just fulfilled itself. And so then it can give you having that context gives you a better understanding of what was going on, in the economy, rather than just saying, "Oh, well, that was because the Democrats did this, or that's because the Republicans did that." That has less to
right.
do with that than you think.
Interesting. So you mentioned 74 being when Vietnam ended,
Yes,
and then you had the market take off for 6 years. So,
right.
what do you think of how the market looks now versus with the understanding that, okay, if Trump gets elected, well, one of the things that he says is, "Oh, I'll end Russia Ukraine in a day," and
Yeah,
probably similar to with Israel and Iran now. If that's
sure.
able to be quelled, what do you think that does to the market, given where we're at?
Well, some of the money managers out there, Mike, are sitting on just bagfuls of cash. They want to invest. But they're uncertain about where to put their money.
Mhm.
So if some of that starts to settle down, let's say and we're going to cover here shortly about uh, what to expect if either Kamala gets elected or Donald Trump gets elected, which industries could benefit most from that. But there's a lot of money on the sideline that, with the right catalyst, and it may be the election, that people are going to start surging in and saying, "Yep, we're going to start investing in American, American companies or globally, whatever," and they're starting to pour back in one
Mhm.
place or the other. So I think there's a really strong upside potential, especially if we may get a little bit of a pullback early into 2025. But I think 2025 is going to finish strong, and then if this super cycle does continue, um, it may punch out all the way to 2033.
Wow,
At
that'll
least,
be nice.
yeah. And so, yeah, we may be sitting at the verge of one of those points in history where you don't want to be missing out.
Mhm.
So, so the question, let's see, we talked about 89%. opportunity. So, hey guys, if you found that this discussion is helpful, interesting, or just one heck of a lot of fun, we're here to help make you smarter in the what you do with your finances and your trading. And so we shine a line on market truths, and also we debunk market myths. So, yeah, if you will, make sure you subscribe either at the Spotify channel. That's where the podcast will live. And also, Mike and I both have our own YouTube channels. Or, and I hate to give you three things to do, but I'll put a link down in the description. Also, let you know how you can find out about either getting Mike's newsletter and or and do it and don't know an and or do both. A connection to my uh, my YouTube channel. So, okay,
Yeah, both are fantastic.
yeah, they are, and they really are. So, okay, if Kamala Harris wins, which industries and which sectors are going to benefit, and is that good or is that bad? Are you?
Hmm.
Okay, this is a chance to either guess or.
For me, yeah, if I had to guess, what would benefit under her? Geez, um, yeah, I'd probably say healthcare, biotech.
Yep.
Um, S. Jordan says solar.
Okay. Would that be going into renewable energies and green energy? Yeah. And believe it or not, there's one other one that may also be of effect is that's uh, tech regulation, some kind of I guess I don't know if that's tech security or whatever, but more you know companies that would benefit from more government oversight.
Yeah, I think that's what we could expect that because that's what they've said.
Yeah, yeah.
It's kind of been wishy-washy. I don't know about you, but I'm not quite sure what they stand for because it seems to change moment to moment.
Yeah, it does.
But the one thing that seems to have come out quite a bit is oversight, regulation, and yeah, the companies that might be able to support that could benefit.
Well, I think we talked about know them by their fruit. We can go back and what happened in the 2020 election. We had several companies like Google, Meta, and basically spying on citizens, and putting out if they didn't think what you said was true, they were their own truth squad, if you will, and
Mm,
to control what people thought and control what people think. And I think that thank God for Elon Musk, where he came out with you know opening up X,
right,
because
right.
X now, I was actually insulted by something I read on X yesterday, but then at the same time, I was thankful I was insulted. I know that sounds weird because it was a free platform where somebody could voice an opinion, even if I
Mm,
totally disagreed with the BS the person was putting out. Okay. And he probably says the
exactly.
same thing, same thing about me. And that's okay. Uh, you know, I, that's one of the things that I miss about the part of America that was left behind. I miss that is that you used to be able to have discussions, dialogue, and agree to disagree and that type of stuff without somebody getting their panties in a wad about oh, you hurt my feelings, blah 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 blah, and all kind of stuff. Just sometimes I want to go, okay, cupcake, suck it up, and let's move it on. Let's move on because you're acting like a wuss. Now, other than that, I do not have a strong opinion.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, I'd much rather have the freedom to say something than to not have the freedom.
oh gosh, yeah. And so,
Very important.
another big thing, if if she gets elected, is the tax on capital gains.
Oh yeah,
Now
that's.
now they've said that it'll only apply to people making over a certain amount.
They
However,
wanted
I've
to try to tax, like, well, what was it? Before, uh,
yeah, yeah,
like, unrealized gains, right?
yes, unrealized gains, tax them. I don't know what the rate they want
I
with
don't
it.
know how you do that. Like,
Well, I
mechanically, like, that seems impossible.
exactly. And so, hopefully it's just a, red herring that's out there that'll be discarded. But that's the thought process and the planning of the current party that's in power is that
Mm,
is that, you know, let us that, figuring out ways to get their hands in your pockets and
mhm.
or in your wallet. And
Yeah,
so yeah, how will that work? Because right now they're saying, well, it won't apply to majority of people. You got to be make over, a significant amount of money in order for it to take effect. However, I've lived long enough and seen enough to know that, when the nose of the camel gets under the tent, it doesn't take long for the rest of the camel to follow. And
mhm,
so, taxing on IRAs, money that everybody, 401k, they've played with that considerably to try to, get in and be able to tax for that. And so anyway, that's, I think it's a bad idea. If they do think about that, I encourage you, if you're a trader, let me tell you, um, you know, make sure that while it could impact you, it doesn't necessarily have to impact it, but stand up and go against that and send in, let your congressmen and your senators know that that's a bad idea. So if if Donald Trump is elected, the potential sectors that could benefit are fossil fuels, defense, and construction. Now,
that's interesting. Why defense? Oh, because he said that he wanted to boost the army and make it as strong as it could be with world global power.
yeah, exactly. Regain its position there, um, regain its position on, you know, uh, as far as the military goes, because he made some really, I don't know, he made some really strong statements in his rally there at Madison Square Gardens last night, and about what he intends to do. But one of the things was fossil fuels, and then also construction and building things back up. Um, Defense, the I think defense was thrown in there because and this is an old adage. I'm not quite sure it's as as strong as strong an issue as it used to be. But it used to be that the conservatives or the Republicans were stronger on spending on defense. Now,
Mhm,
not the war machine per se that we're talking about that keeps but spending on defense to build up our military, not build up the military of a foreign nation.
mm.
And no. so how do you think an investor could, benefit from those aspects?
I think that if Harris wins, you short Tesla, and if Trump wins, you buy calls on TSLL.
That's I like it. I like it. Buy calls on TSLL. Matter of fact, we're going to talk here about a couple of stocks that I think that you really need to be in. But yeah, I agree. I also think oil exploration goes back into into a because almost the whole year of this year, the oil exploration ETF has been in a decline. I mean,
Mhm,
fallen hard, and so I think that that's going to take back off. Um, then if the interest rates start going down, inflation starts to become under control, starts to become under control. Wouldn't it be cool? Okay. Wouldn't it be cool if the uh, they could actually reverse the inflation? In other words, over the past 3.5 years, almost 4 years now, inflation is up over 20 plus percent. Now, I know that they don't want people to do deflation. They think that the economists think that's bad and all that kind of stuff. But price rollback, I'm totally cool with that. I mean, I don't know how much you guys are paying for gas up in New York, but I know over in Hawaii, we're paying, about sometimes a little bit over $5 a gallon.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Oh, we're paying half that. But down the street from me, it's 285.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Gosh. And so
Should come visit
anyway,
us.
yeah. So I mean, thank God, we have we have a nice little car that it gets good gas mileage and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's we and I know places like California. California is more expensive than it is here in Hawaii.
Mhm.
It's amazing, and so I'm envious of the people who are buying only spending two and a quarter. And so yeah, back when our gas was at a dollar, I want to say $1.79, $2 back 4 years ago. And so that was just a jump and it almost went up within like a month and a half after Biden took over as the president. Prices went up uh, to $4, and then they bounced up to $5, and so now it's going anywhere from 4.75 up to five and a quarter. That's for regular gas, not
Yeah.
premium gas. So
It's a tax
Jordan is
on everything.
yeah, and then add on to top of that the food cost. The food cost is because I know you're raising a growing family,
Mhm.
and I know the food cost. Hey, Michelle and I, it's just the two of us, and so you know how we beat inflation
Yeah.
with the food? We went on a diet.
You
No, seriously, we did.
that's not a bad strategy.
Yeah, and it was really good because, which gets back to Bobby Kennedy, where he's talking about 75% of the people in America are overweight or obese, and so that's one great way to reduce your food prices. Just start eating more healthily, but start eating less. And so
Mm.
now that's just a free tip. That's a free health tip for everybody because you want to be healthier so you can live longer, so you can make more money in the stock market. That's my reason, my rationale, right? So let's see, Mike, what have we got? So, hey, before we get okay, I'm going to jump in and I'm going to share with you the two stocks. I'm actually going to give you a bonus stock today of some things that I'm looking at, and Mike has already talked about one of them. And let
Oh,
me
I'm
go
sorry. Jumped the
and
gun.
grab my screen. And there you go. The first one is, yes, our buddy Tesla. Uh, Tesla broke out on Friday, broke its downtrend line, and now I'm looking for it to continue to climb. We had the earnings report. Now the earnings report wasn't all that good. However, the expectations of Tesla is that it will continue to move up very. That 2025 will be a very strong year for Tesla. I did one and if you want to see my full blown analysis of this, it's over on the YouTube channel, Market Tech Talk.
Mhm.
But I put that Fibonacci in, just this last little run up to get some
Okay.
ideas of what my upside targets are. You can see that, right?
Mhm.
And to get a better picture of it, let's go over here to I'll expand this just a little bit. There we go. What I find very interesting is that As we move on up, we're breaking out of that level right there. Look at the upside potential. And I'm calling that this is the upside potential between now and the end of the year. So I have, if I get up the 1272 extension, I'm up to 307. Notice if I look to the left, if I
Hmm.
look over here to the left from that level, I have a number there and I have some resistance there. Break through that resistance, then my next upside target is here. And that is equivalent to, there we go, 352, $352. Again, draw your lines across. You see that there's zones where that's where we reversed. The final 200%, that would be a 100% symmetric move of this move right here from this low to that high will be up here at 200, would put the price up at $403. And again, I'm
Whoa.
anticipating, huh?
No, I'm just saying, whoa.
And so that's, and which is really darn close to the all-time high, but notice that would be in the zone where that's where we would expect things to roll back over. So that's number one. Any thoughts about that? And right now, Mike, because as you can see, it looks like it's spinning up to be able to take off. We're getting some breakouts. I wouldn't buy it per se right this moment, but I'm a pullback trader, so I'm going to be waiting for a really nice flag pullback on TSL, Tesla, or its leverage ETF, which is TSLL. Any thoughts
All
on
right.
this one, Mike?
Yeah, well, yeah. I have a thought and I have a question. I'll ask you the question first because you had mentioned that it might be able to do this by the end of the year. So,
Yeah.
so I'd like you to expand on what gives you the. Why do you say by the end of the year? How'd you come up with that?
Well, very simple. No,
Mm,
very easy. Is basically prices tend to move in symmetric patterns.
okay.
Okay. So I can go here and I can grab, I'm going to grab this move from here to here. And I'm just going to put my cursor down there, roll it back up to there. And as you can see, that's 77 days. Now,
Right.
77 days. Now I'm going to pick that. I'm hopefully going to activate that. There we go. I'm going to grab it. And I'm getting a breakout, right? So I can pull, this is just a pure technical analysis game. Pull it, I'm getting the breakout kind of today. There we go. Put that over there. And when does that hit that level? It hits that level on the 13th of January. My other target, which I was actually said that my target was $350, which is right here. And that would be on the week of 12/16.
Oh,
And so
okay.
that's the way now, does it have to do that? No, of course it doesn't have to do that. However, I do know that, after many years of doing, technical analysis, that there is a tendency of following a symmetric pattern, not only in price, but also in time.
Hmm.
So, what was the second question?
So the other
Observation.
comment, it was a one question, one comment. The comment is that if we're establishing an uptrend on pullbacks, well, a strategy that I like to use every now and again is selling puts.
Cool. Yeah.
Selling puts down at a major support level as prices falling to sell weekly puts.
Yeah.
So that way, well, when you get that volatility spike to the downside, the premium expands rapidly, and then you could sell the put. And if you do get the shares put on you, you're buying them at a price that you want.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. And you're buying it at a discount. Love that.
Yeah.
I love that strategy. Um, I actually used that with TSLL just prior to the earnings on Tesla. Now, I didn't the shares weren't put to me, but I cleared. I was able to keep all the premium I paid, or that they paid me, right? I
Mm,
didn't have to give any back, and so that's
that's a
cool.
great thing.
So my other one is, this shouldn't be a surprise, but NVDA,
Ah, okay.
NVDA, figuring the same type of process here. Notice NVDA, we've already broken above the longer term past high. Let's just throw a quick Fibonacci on there to give us an upside target. And I'm just using the straight Fibonacci, not the Fibonacci extension. Pull down to that low there, which is approximately there. Again, figuring the move. And normally you have an upside target of the 1272, which is there, 1618, which is there, and 200%. And the way I trade this off the fibs, guys, is I put an alert just a little bit below each one of the levels, and that way, when prices go up towards there, and if I hit that alert, that may be my time I want to go ahead and bail on it. Selling on strength. It's a really great way to sell on strength. So, what are my targets here? I'm going to put 618, and that puts me up at 171. So it's about $30 above where I am right now. And the other one is about 190, $190 on my next target up. I can do the same type of process where I would take from here up to where we hit the level to extend to get an estimate of the time required to get there. So, Mike, what do you think are you a buyer of NVIDIA?
I'd like to see it pull back a little bit more
Yeah.
and tighten up. If
Yep.
it could pull back a little bit, if it could tighten up, say if the I like to use the 21-day exponential
Okay.
moving average. I'd like to see that get a little bit closer.
Right on.
Um, if it could do those things, then yeah, I'd be interested in it.
Cool. And so, and you and I are on the same page when it comes to waiting for the pullbacks. Yeah, it's extended right now. My momentum has shifted to the downside. So, I'm in a I've calling my momentum indicators when they've crossed down to the downside. That's my patience pill. In other words, I
Mm,
take, I let that dictate when I have a green light to be able to go and trade. The other side of that also is NVDL. Love this entity. It's the two-time leverage ETF of NVIDIA, and does some nice moves. Also has weekly options. And so that there, and also just real quick, Mike mentioned it, TSLL also has weekly options on it. I wouldn't buy it where it's at right now, but I would look for a basically a pullback, and note how even though Tesla has broken out of its triangle, this hasn't, and that's because it's a leverage ETF. So
mm.
absolutely phenomenal. So that's the stocks I promised you. I think we've delivered today, Mike, on everything we promised everybody. And I have to find. I hope Eva's okay because um, it was. She lives here in Hawaii also, so maybe the 6 o'clock in the morning may have been a little bit too early for her. I don't know. So,
All right.
and let's see what we got going on here. So, what do you think we should talk about next time, Mike?
Let's see. Well, the next time it's gonna be my birthday, I
Yeah,
think.
it is. It's going to be the 4th. And we did we decide we're going to do a recorded session for that?
No, well, we're gonna do it live.
Okay. Now, did we have a guest for that one?
No, not then, but later in the month, we're gonna have Andrew. O'Connell on. Andrew O'Connell, who is currently in first place in USIC with a return of 400% so far in the year.
Whoa. So yeah, so people, you're gonna be paying attention for when that one gets there. I would suggest a topic for next time, Mike, is it possible to beat the market consistently?
Is it possible to do it consistently? Okay,
Yeah, or not.
I think so.
I think
I
so
think so. I
too.
think you think so, but I'm curious to see what other people think. Maybe
So
debunk the myth that, oh, you can't beat the market or you can't time the market, or
yeah, I think it
a lot of
kind of
people
tie.
throw their hands up at that.
I think it's a cousin of you can't time the market. Um, and part of it just comes down to what are your rules. I think your rules and the way you set them up is what, and how well you execute your rules is what basically provides you a leg up on doing it consistently.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got a few thoughts on this one. I think that'll be good for next time.
Okay, well, guys, until next time, remember, tune in next week. We're going to have a good time talking about that. We've got some really good guests planned for the future. And so I know they say you're not supposed to say, give a signal that you're about ready to finish, but so I won't. I just say aloha, God bless, and we'll see you guys next week. Okay.
Bye, everybody.